Happy Friday the 13th! Today we're going to celebrate by ranking our favorite Friday the 13th films from 1 to 12. Stay tuned. So, this is a really nice, relaxing Friday the 13th. It's really nice to not be stalked and potentially murdered on Friday the 13th since Canadian Jason is in Texarkana. Fuck yeah, applesauce. So we can focus on the real Jason. Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th films. We love Jason.
And we're gonna show the order of how much we love them.
So, how we did the ranking. We each wrote our individual lists, and then we used math to give each of those rankings numerical value. There were a couple of ties, but
We got Undead just to come in as a tiebreaker.
so, starting from the bottom and working our way up to number 1, number 12.
At the bottom of the barrel, we picked number 5, The New Beginning.
There are some very good reasons for this. 1, Jason's not flipping in the movie, except for a dream sequence.
At least they got the mask right for the dream.
A lot of the Friday the 13th films are fun or scary or both. This one's just flippin' weird. I mean, it's set in a mental institution, which should be fun, but it's like a camp mental institution, and everybody at this place is completely unlikable, including Tommy Jarvis. Like, how do you mess up Tommy Jarvis?
And as we mentioned, Jason's not even in this film. It's a paramedic.
You know why there's hardly any killer paramedic movies except for Old 37? Because they're not scary.
Hell, that had Kane Hodder, aka Jason, in it.
You just can't make that work. Number 11. So, in the number 11 spot, we have Jason Goes to Hell.
Which is the one that barely has Jason in it.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm a 90s kid. I remember when this came out, and I remember loving it at the time. But in retrospect, it's not really a Friday the 13th movie.
I think I'd like it better if it wasn't. If it was more like a Body Snatcher film.
And it feels more like The Hidden or Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
It does have some great deaths.
Number 10.
We had a fake Jason, we had a Body Snatcher Jason. Now we have an upgraded Jason. We're going with Jason X.
I think Jason X is a fun beer and pizza kind of movie. If you don't take it too seriously and just enjoy the ridiculousness of this film and the pretty choice kills, I think it's a lot of fun.
That's what they said about Leprechaun in space.
I like that. Number 9.
For number 9, we're bringing things back down to Earth, but not where you think. This doesn't take place in Crystal Lake. It takes place in New York.
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Actually, it kind of takes place mostly on a boat, which somehow goes from Crystal Lake to New York.
I'll be honest, this one isn't one of my favorites. It's not Jason Takes Manhattan, it's Jason on a boat. Jason at sea. Nautical Jason. But for me, that is not the biggest sin of this movie. It's all the visions of little Jason that pop up throughout. He slowly becomes more deformed throughout the film, but there's really no explanation for that, or why the main girl is getting the visions, and the makeup effects are
At this point, the final girls have powers. Accept it.
But I do give it points, A, for when Jason kicks the boombox, and B, for when he punches the guy's head off.
And it's Kane Hodder. He did a great job in it.
Number 8. But this one's not even really scary. That's right, bitches. It's Freddy versus Jason.
Place your bets.
Since when is Jason afraid of water?
And since when does Freddy let people talk back to him like that?
Yeah, it's not a perfect movie. We know. But it's got Catherine Isabel in it. It's got a few pretty funny laugh-out-loud moments. You have Robert Englund in it. Kills are pretty cool.
And the fight at the end is quite epic, actually.
Number 7. Friday the 13th. The reboot.
Where basically you get the first 4 movies all rolled into one.
A lot of people hate on this movie. I really like this remake. I think it's a pretty solid film. I enjoyed Jared Padalecki in it. It's filmed beautifully. The kills are awesome, and there's some great homages in here to the Friday the 13th films, including my favorite kill, the sleeping bag death. This movie is gory and fast-paced and fun.
I have to say Derek Mears did a great job. But since when does Jason kidnap people? That kind of ruined it for me.
Number 6. Next up is Friday the 13th, Part 2. This is a very flawed film. The ending cuts off very suddenly. There's a dog that dies and then reappears at the end. Many a plot hole in this film, but it's enjoyable as all hell. The characters are likable, the kills are great, and I love Jenny, Flaws with this movie aside, I think Ginny is one of the better final girls.
Yeah, and it's got one of the best deaths. Wheelchair guy, classic.
Number 5.
This might be a little shocking to some of you, but we feel that this is one of those series where the first one isn't the best one. We're talking Friday the 13th, Part 1. It's not that this isn't a good movie, it really is, and it's a whodunit, which was very entertaining. But once you know who did it, well, you kind of know the movie then.
And Betsy Palmer is fantastic as Mrs. Voorhees, but the pacing is a little slow.
But they make up for that by killing Kevin Bacon.
This is true. We had Tom Savini doing the makeup on this one, and it is top-notch. So like we said, don't get us wrong. This is a classic, but for us, it's just not number 1. Number 4. Coming in at number 4, it's Friday the 13th, Part 3 in 3D. I have to say, of all the Friday the 13th films, Part 3 is the scariest. That final battle is horrific.
Not to mention, this is also the movie where the trickster Shelley ends up giving Jason his iconic mask. He doesn't have to walk around looking like Mr. Potato Sack Head anymore. Styling.
That's not to say this movie doesn't have its flaws. The 3D effects were a little cheesy, but overall, this is a solid film. Number 3. Okay, we're down to my favorite Friday the 13th film. Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. I love this movie. It's like Carrie versus Jason. It's the first movie that had Kane Hodder in it. It has zombie Jason in it. It has the best kill in the entire franchise in it. This movie is flippin' awesome. But thanks to this guy here, it only made it to number 3.
I really did like it when he killed his shrink. That guy deserved it.
Number 2.
Ranking very high on both of our lists, coming in at number 2 is Part 6, Jason Lives. It's alive!
This movie is hilarious. It came at a point in the franchise where they realized that the series had gone on a little long. I mean, Part 4 was supposed to be the end, right? And they finally decided to have a little fun with it.
After Part 5, they decided to go ahead and scrap that whole Tommy Jarvis becoming the next killer and just bring back what people wanted, Jason. This is my favorite portrayal of Tommy Jarvis, by the way. Plus, it's probably got the best soundtrack of all of them in the series. Alice Cooper's Man Behind the Mask is just great.
From what I hear, Derek Mears listened to that song non-stop to get into character as Jason Voorhees in the reboot.
And that just shows you the impression that it left on the fans.
Better than the impression he left on that RV. Number 1.
If you haven't guessed already, it's the final chapter. It's supposed to have been the final chapter.
We saw this movie when we were kids, so we really related to Tommy Jarvis in this, and he's a horror nerd. What's not to love?
He represented us. We kind of got to experience Jason through his eyes. And skinny dipping.
Also, bravo to the dog for being the only dog I've seen in a horror movie smart enough to get the hell out of Dodge.
Screw you people, I'm out of here.
And you can't forget Crispin Glover and his epic dance.
I don't know, he was quite the ladies' man, nonetheless.
I mean, this isn't just a good Friday the 13th film, or even a good slasher film. This is a good film.
Yeah, this is a must-see for any horror fan. If you haven't seen it, you need to.
If you're just getting into horror and you want a place to start with the Friday the 13th franchise, this is the one I would recommend. That's a wrap. Cut!
So let us know in the comments what your ranking is and how close it is to ours.
Or just leave a comment about how right I am that Part 7 is the best of the franchise.
Whatever your final thoughts are, let us know.
New Blood rules! Thanks for watching.